AI Business Brief for July 20th, 2026. Vibe coding platforms are hitting production maturity with better infrastructure and guardrails. Zapier broke down the automation software landscape into 10 categories worth knowing. NVIDIA and Japan are betting $6.2 billion on factory floor AI, while OpenAI faces hardware delays from Apple's trade secrets lawsuit. Here's the full breakdown of today's top AI stories for your business. Next section, lead story. Vibe coding platforms are finally shipping production-ready apps. After the early hype cycle crashed into reality, performance issues, security holes, half-baked deployments, the second generation of AI, App Builders is fixing the hard parts. Tools like Lovable, Bolt, V0, and Replit now include infrastructure, deployment pipelines, and security guardrails that get you 70% of the way to a real app without touching code. The catch? You still need the last 30%, either by learning enough to test and troubleshoot or hiring a developer to finish. If you have been watching this space since 2023, you remember the promise. Describe your app in English, ship it an hour later. That did not work. Apps broke in production. Security was a disaster. Nobody could maintain them. The new platforms learned from those failures. They still use natural language as the programming interface, but they have added workflows, testing tools, and deployment systems that make the output viable for small business use cases like internal tools, prototypes, and customer portals. For small business owners, this matters because the barrier to custom software just dropped again. You can now build a scheduling tool, a quote generator, or a client portal without a developer on payroll. You will hit limits, complex integrations, high-traffic apps, sensitive data handling, but for the first wave of automation, these tools are usable today. Zapier's Vibe Coding Roundup. Next section, tools and launches. Lovable, Bolt, V0, Replit, Rocket, and Dyad are the 6 vibe coding tools worth testing. Zapier tested 50-plus platforms and narrowed the list to tools that handle the full cycle, prompt to published app without switching platforms. Lovable wins on ease of use. Bolt is faster and more flexible. V0 from Versal ships production quality code. Replit handles mobile and web. Rocket targets app-based businesses. Dyad is the open-source option for power users. All 6 now include authentication, basic security, and deployment infrastructure. Pricing varies. Most have free tiers or trial periods. If you have been putting off building internal tools because you cannot afford a developer, pick one and prototype this week. Full comparison. Zapier mapped the automation software landscape into 10 categories. Workflow integration tools like Zapier and Microsoft Power connect your existing apps. AI automation platforms add reasoning to workflows, drafting replies, making routing decisions. Business process automation handles structured org processes, IT tickets, HR approvals. RPA tools automate legacy systems without APIs. The article includes use cases, pricing signals, and when each category fits. If you are evaluating automation tools and drowning in vendor pitches, this is the framework you need. Automation Software Guide. Web scraping is feeding AI tools and competitive intelligence pipelines. Zapier published a comprehensive guide covering static scraping, HTML parsing, dynamic scraping, browser automation, and AI-powered extraction. Describe what you want. The model figures out where it lives on the page. Business use cases, price monitoring, lead generation, competitor tracking, job board aggregation. The guide includes tool recommendations and explains anti-bot defenses you will run into. If you have ever wanted to track competitor pricing or aggregate supplier data, this is the playbook. Web scraping guide. Next section, industry moves. NVIDIA and Japan are building a $6.2 billion sovereign AI factory for robots and manufacturing. Jensen Huang spent 2 days in Tokyo and left with deals across Japan's industrial ecosystem. A national AI data center, launching 2028 with 13,750 CPUs and 27,500 GPUs, partnerships with Fanuc, Yaskawa, Kawasaki Heavy, Fujitsu, Hitachi, NEC, Sony, SoftBank, and Toyota, and commitments to build physical AI foundation models that run robots and factory automation. Japan wants 10 million AI-equipped robots across 18 sectors by 2040. For small manufacturers, watch for spin-off tools that trickle down. Simpler robot programming, predictive maintenance models, and production line optimization software built on this infrastructure. TechCrunch Japan AI. Apple sued OpenAI for trade secrets theft, targeting its hardware plans. Apple filed a lawsuit accusing OpenAI of recruiting former Apple employees to steal confidential information related to hardware development. OpenAI is working on a mobile smart speaker, potentially always listening, and other devices with Jony Ive's team. The lawsuit could delay those product launches and complicate OpenAI's path to an IPO. For businesses using OpenAI tools, this does not affect API, Access, or ChatGPT subscriptions, but it signals increasing friction between big tech players as AI moves into consumer hardware. TechCrunch Apple lawsuit. Jeff Bezos backed Cusp AI, $2.6 B valuation, to hunt for breakthrough chip making and clean energy materials. Cusp AI uses AI to simulate novel materials, narrowing lab testing candidates from millions to dozens. NVIDIA, Meta, Sony, and 45+ organizations joined the AI Materials Foundry compute network. The company is targeting semiconductors, carbon capture, water filtration, and advanced manufacturing. For SMB, this is infrastructure layer news, but breakthroughs here eventually translate to cheaper components, better batteries, and more efficient manufacturing inputs. CNBC Cusp AI. TSMC is pouring another $100 billion into Arizona chip fabs to meet AI demand. Total Arizona investment is now $265 billion. CFO Wendell Huang told CNBC they are seeing multi-year structural demand for AI chips and are racing to convert capacity from 5nm to 3nm and 2nm nodes. Phase 1, 4nm, is already running. For businesses, this signals continued AI infrastructure build-out and long-term chip supply, but also persistent high costs. U.S. fab construction costs 4-5 times more than Taiwan. CNBC TSMC. Nonprofit Current AI raised $400 to build open, multilingual AI infrastructure. Backed by France, $100 seed, Ford Foundation, MacArthur, DeepMind, and Salesforce, Current AI is building public interest AI models across 50+ African languages, 22 Indian languages, and indigenous Amazon dialects. Recent projects include Suno Sutra, an offline, pocket-sized Hindi AI device, and an open-source chatbot launched at the AI for Good Summit. CEO Aya Bidare, former Mozilla AI lead, LittleBits founder, frames it as the World Wide Web of AI, free for all. For SMBs operating in multilingual markets or underserved regions, watch for translation and voice tools that actually work outside English. TechCrunch Current AI. Netflix bought Ben Affleck's AI post-production platform for $587 million. Inter Positive solves post-production challenges, dialogue fixes, scene adjustments, visual effects tweaks, a fraction of reshoot costs. For the film industry, this is a cost-cutting tool. For small video producers, watch for similar tools to trickle into the prosumer market, making post-production fixes cheaper and faster. Inc. Netflix deal. China's Kimi K3 model is rattling Silicon Valley and Washington. Moonshot AI's new model is fueling concerns that China is catching up faster than expected. The article, headline only, does not detail performance benchmarks, but the fact that it is making U.S. leaders nervous suggests competitive parity in at least some use cases. For businesses evaluating AI vendors, this is another reminder that the model landscape is shifting fast and vendor lock-in carries risk. Inc. Kimi K3. Next section, Business Playbook. Small business optimism is rising as job openings rebound. The NFIB Small Business Optimism Index climbed 2.1 points in June to 97.4, nearly matching its 52-year average. 32% of owners report unfilled job openings, up 3 points. 11% plan to hire in the next 3 months. Inflation remains the top concern, 21% of owners, and 38% raised prices last month. Capital spending plans are up, 20% plan equipment investments, highest this year. For SMB, this signals cautious optimism but persistent cost pressures. If you are planning to hire or invest in equipment, you are not alone, but budget for higher borrowing costs. Average short-term loan rate is 7.4%. Small business trends optimism. Gen Z prefers online shopping, 44% via social media, values sustainability, and switches brands based on emotional connections. Born 1997 to 2012, Gen Z conducts thorough research, wants personalized products, 57%, and will pay more for eco-friendly options. Less than half identify as white/Caucasian, so diversity in marketing matters. They are 23% more likely to change brands than older cohorts. If you sell to Gen Z, optimize for mobile, highlight sustainability practices, offer customization, and build authentic brand narratives. Small business trends Gen Z. Next section, quick wins. If you have been waiting to automate internal workflows, test a vibe coding tool this week. Pick one of the 6 platforms, Lovable for simplicity, Bolt for speed, describe a tool you need, client intake form, quote generator, inventory tracker, and build a prototype. Budget 2-4 hours. You will hit limits, but you will also discover what is possible without hiring a developer. Use web scraping to track competitor pricing. Set up a simple scraper or use a no-code tool like Epify to monitor competitor product pages or service pricing. Export the data to a spreadsheet. Check it weekly. If you see patterns, seasonal discounts, feature bundling, price drops, adjust your positioning or promotions accordingly. Next section, Outlook. AI infrastructure spending is accelerating. TSMC, NVIDIA Japan, Cusp AI, while practical tools for SMBs are maturing, vibe coding, automation platforms, multilingual models. The gap between hype and usability is narrowing. Expect more production-ready AI tools for small businesses in the next 6-12 months, especially in workflow automation, customer service, and content generation. Watch for regulatory friction as AI moves into consumer hardware, Apple vs OpenAI, and geopolitical competition heats up. U.S. vs China. For small businesses, the actionable takeaway: test the tools that ship this quarter. The ones that survive the next 12 months will define the stack you build on for the next decade. That concludes today's AI Business Brief. From Carolina Clear Tech. Stay smart, stay ahead.